Hello, everyone. I thought it'd be great today to actually read a book, a Christmas book, and make something Christmassy after we're reading our book together. And the book we're going to do today is What the Ladybird Heard at Christmas. I'm going to change the camera around so you can follow me reading the book together. What the Ladybird Heard at Christmas. And the author is Julia Donaldson. Let's read together. On Christmas Eve, when the sun was low, and the fields and woods were white with snow, the ladybird set off to spend a couple of nights with a spider friend. The spider lived in a big old house with people and pets and a small white mouse. And the small white mouse said, squeak, squeak, squeak. And the hamster's wheel went creak, creak, creak. The parrot squawked and the canary sang, and the spider twanged her web, twang, twang. The Great Dane snored and the Siamese purred, but the ladybird said never a word. But the ladybird saw and the ladybird heard. She saw two men with a big black fan, a ladder, a sack, and a cunning plan. The ladybird already knew they were Lanky Len and Hefty Hugh. And she heard Hugh whisper, listen, Len, we'll wait until it's night, and then, when Santa Claus has been and gone, we'll put our fancy costumes on. You look lovely as an elf, and I'll be Santa Claus himself. We'll climb to the chimney, and then down we'll slide, and before we know it, we'll be inside. Said Len, they say that house is haunted, but we're both brave, we won't be daunted. Later on, those girls and boys will have their stockings filled with toys. We'll take those stockings off their beds, they won't wake up their sleepy heads, and even if they do awake, they'll think we've come to give, not take. The two thieves chuckled, ha, 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 what clever, crafty chaps we are. Then the little spotty ladybird, who hardly ever spoke a word, told the others what she'd heard. And the mouse said, squeak, and the willow went creak, and both the birds gave a piercing shriek. The spider scuttled, the Great Dane growled, and the Siamese arched her back and yowled. And all of the pets said, how unpleasant, we can't let them steal one single present. But the ladybird had a good idea, and she whispered it in to each animal's ear. Then they found the perfect size, and the parrot pecked 2 holes for eyes. The spider spun, and the Siamese cat slunk out to chat to a friendly bat. Upstairs the children, Flo, Fleur, Fred, and the little Finn was snug in bed, and Santa came with treats and toys for all 4 lucky girls and boys. The thieves kept watch until he'd gone. Then they put their fancy costumes on. They climbed to the chimney, and down they slid. They're here, hissed the cat, and the pets all hid. The small white mouse was ready. Hop! She leapt and she crept inside Len's top, and Lanky Len began to whine. There's fingers crawling up my spine. The hamster's wheel creaked round and round, and Hugh said, there's an eerie sound. The spider wound her silky threads all around the robbers' heads, and Len said, this is awfully rummy, I'm scared, cried Hugh, I want my mummy. The Siamese cat let out a growl, a yowl. Oh, crumb, said Len, a ghostly howl. The canary sang, beware, beware, and they turned the corner of the stair, and there they saw a dreadful sight. Something scary, tall and white. That second the parrot shouted, boo! Ned and Hugh. They fell downstairs and charged outside. But who was waiting? Bats, they cried. Frightened for their lives, they ran all the way back to their big black van. The bats flapped and the two bad men, and they never went back to that house again. Then the small white mouse said, and the hamster's wheel went greek, greek, greek. The parrot squawked, the canary sang, and the spider twanged her web, twang, twang. The Great Dane woofed, and the Siamese bird. But the ladybird said never a word. The end. Hello again. I hope you enjoyed that story. It's a lovely Christmas story, and the ending was really happy as well. They caught those robbers, didn't they? We are going to make together our Santa. And because the way we're going to make it, you can either hold it behind and use it as a puppet, or you can put it on the table and it could be a little bit rocky, like a rocky Santa. But we're going to make that together. And I'm going to write down underneath the video in the comment section just what the kind of things you'll need, like paper, scissors, glue, all those kind of things. So let's start. So we're going to start off with a white piece of paper. I've got this dark piece of paper underneath so the camera doesn't glare too much. What I've done, I've drawn a circle. What I used actually was just some sellotape to draw around. So I'm going to use a big black pen so you can see better. But I'm sure you've got a pencil you could use that doesn't make such a black mark. And I'm going to hold it with one hand, and with the other hand, I'm going to draw around really carefully. And then when I take the sellotape away, I can see a lovely round circle. And then we're going to use some scissors to cut it out. Now I'm going to try my best to move the paper, keep moving the paper round and round, and keeping my scissors in the one place, because it's quite tricky cutting out a circle. I'm going to keep going round until I end up in the place that I started. And hopefully, oh, it's quite good. Got a nice circle. There we go. That's a good start. And what we're going to do next, we're going to put a different colour in here. This is going to be part of Santa's face, but we need sort of the white background to make the beard stand out and the face at the front of that. So what we're going to do, we're going to draw again inside the circle this time, but instead of cutting it out there, we're going to play a bit of a trick here, because I need something smaller, and you might find something nice and small to cut round as well. Well, I'm going to just cut slightly in on that circle, just so it's quite a lot smaller. I'm going to cut its shape face out, so I'm trying my best just to keep that circle as I cut around. There we go. There's a nice circle. I'm sure you can find something better than I can. Okay, and we're going to glue that circle in the middle. I'm going to take my glue and I'm just going to glue that on just like that. Let's flatten it down. Okay, there we go. That's part of the face. Now what we're going to do, I'm just going to show you what it looks like as we go along. Can you see that's what we've done so far? We've got the white circle and the fleshy colour in the middle. You might want to use pink, or you might want to, instead of have cream card, you might want to use a completely different colour, like a flesh colour. And that's absolutely fine. You can decide yourself. What we're going to do now, we're going to put out his hat. Let's just get into the side for the moment. And what I've done here, I've got a piece of red card and I've used a ruler to draw a line, but I've measured like this. I've put the circle on and the red paper on top, and I've just roughly thought, okay then, I'm just going to make a mark here and make a mark here, and I'm going to draw a line going up and a line going down like a triangle. They don't have to be perfect, just have fun. There we go. It's like it's what you call diagonal lines. And one going up and one meeting the other side of the face just there, like that. And I'm going to cut that out. And what we're going to do now, we're going to take some glue and we're going to have a go at just putting that in the right balance. So just put him where you think he needs to be. So it might be up there. If yours triangle further down, it might be lower. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to glue the back. Not all of the triangle, otherwise you'll have glue at the back where you don't want it to be. Just where the straight bit is, just there. What we're going to do as well, we're going to, if you find that you want it a bit lower, what you can do is just trim the edges. Doesn't you find that you've done it a little bit narrow, and that's absolutely fine as well. That's just to show you. Now we're going to have a little bit of a white fur part to his hat. Can you see again? Here, just here. That's just the white fluffy part of Santa Claus's hat. So what I'm going to do with that one, I'm going to put it on top of the white piece of paper and just roughly have an idea of how wide I want it. I probably want it something like this wide. I'm going to do dots either side, and I'm going to use my ruler to make a line. Now this is probably better to do it bigger at first, so you can always trim it then. Okay. And I'm going to curve the edges just to make it look like a little bit like more like a 3D furry hat. I'm just going to check now. Turn it round like this. I'm just going to put it on there and see if it works. It does work. So I'm just going to curve this part round as well. And I'm going to glue that down as well. Sometimes I find it easier to glue on top of the stick. It makes it just a little bit less tricky. And I'm going to stick that down on top of his head. Okay, so we're doing quite well. I'm just going to get rid of some of my marks that I made with the rubber. There we go. So far, we've got a hat, a face, and we need a wobble on the top. I thought it's rather nice, actually, if we just turn the hat over at the top. We're just going to turn it slightly, and we're going to make a crease on that side. And you can cut a little white circle out and just glue it right at the end there. And just glue it on top. And then you can see the little white hat folds over nicely. And for eyes, you can either use a black felt tip or a black colouring pencil. It's entirely up to you. Or you can use googly eyes as well. I'm going to actually just put on here what I did earlier. What I did actually, I just cut two black little circles out, and two tiny little white circles, and I'm just going to glue those on. So I'm going to put the black ones on first. I'm going to put one about here. And the other one. I'm going to glue that one just on here. And I've got my two little white circles that I cut out from white paper. But again, you can use anything at all. And you can just put your white little bits on the top of the black, and it looks like his eyeballs. Look, looks like he's looking this way, doesn't it? And then what we're going to do, we're going to put 2 little pink cheeks on, and you can either use a felt tip, paper, or colouring pencils. I'm just going to make 2 little cheeks, one there and one there. Now I've left plenty of space in the middle for the fluffy red nose. Or if you haven't got a fluffy red nose, you can always use red paper. Okay, let's have a go at the next part then. So I'm just going to put him to the side for the moment and put the face to the side for the moment, because what we're going to need now is some more red paper or red card. I've already cut the hat out of this one. What I've done, I've folded this paper into 2, and I'm going to cut the circle out. I need 2 circles exactly the same size, and that's why I've done that. And I've used a bigger piece of tape to draw around, and I'll just show you using my black marker. But once again, it's much better if you use pencil. And carefully with one hand held onto it, and the other hand I drew around it. And I'm just going to cut that out. And because they're 2 together like that, I should get 2 nice circles as well. Here we go. Remember what I said before, that I'm going to hold my scissors mostly in the same place. But what I'm going to be turning is the card. And I'm going to very carefully try and keep on those lines that I made, holding the paper really firmly. Now I've used card because I think it sits up better when Santa's all finished. If you want it to be sitting up on a shelf somewhere, card just might help to keep it more stable. So we've got now our Santa belly. And what we're going to do, we're going to glue Santa on top of him. So really, if you turn Santa's head over, you just glue in the bottom half of the white circle. So turn it round, and there we go, like that. Okay, now what we're going to do now as well, we're going to, can you see on the side, I've actually folded this in half. So you're going to fold the other circle in half. Exactly, would be great if you can do that, make a real good crease with your fingernails if you can. And you're going to glue that on the bottom half of Santa, but probably trying to make sure that that's a straight line going across there. So you're going to glue the bottom half of Santa. Don't forget, this is him turned around, so you see in Santa's back. And very carefully, I'm going to line up like that. But I'm trying to make sure that it's nice and straight as well, because when you then open it up like that, it should sit. But if it doesn't, you can always make some adjustments to it. Okay, so what we have now then to do is a little belt that goes all the way across. And I'm just going to get some black wool, or you can get a black felt tip, and that works just as well. And I'm just going to cut a line for the belt that goes all the way across his belly. It doesn't matter if it's too big because you can trim. Oh, that was a good guess, wasn't it? And I'm just going to across his belly. I need to glue that. Across his belly like that. Oops. Try and making sure that it's quite straight. And if there are any pieces that are hanging off, I'm just going to trim those as well, just so it follows the circle. There we go. And you can actually do some lovely gloves as well. Now, the shape that I would do gloves is probably like this, but you can do yours in black if you'd like to. So probably you want to do them white first, like do the shape, and then that's the kind of shape you're looking for. A little thumb that sticks out, and then a rounder glove. That's the kind of shape. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut these out of black paper, and I'm not really too worried about what it looks like, but if I do it in pencil, I'll just be able to see. Actually, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to fold the paper in half. So when I do it, when I actually draw it out and cut it out, I'll have 2 gloves, which is the better idea, isn't it? So using the open side just the open side. I'm going to draw that shape for the thumb first. I know this is difficult for you to see, but that's why I showed you on white paper. But try and draw that shape, and then I'm going to cut them out. Difficult when it's on black, isn't it? We'll cut that thumb out as well. It looks like he's got mittens on. There we go. It doesn't matter if it's exactly the right shape or it looks different to yours, and that's okay. And you're going to glue his little hands on, okay, like that. So I'm going to take a bit of glue, just rub the end of the glove into the glue, and then just press it on the side. That's one done. And this is two. What you could do as well is just to make some little trimming bits as well. So you might want to put a little bit of fur, and by just cutting out a little bit of white paper, just make a little bit of a fur trimming on his gloves as well. One and two. And of course, can you see here, he's got a white belt as well. So we're just going to, with a little bit of card as well, just a little bit of a trim to make it look like the middle of his belt. So we're only really missing one thing now. You can make a moustache if you'd like to, and I can show you how to do that. But what I would do is to take a piece of white card. You don't need a big piece at all, actually. And you could fold it in half, like that. And what you could do is make a shape. Now, the shape could be like a teardrop shape, couldn't it? Can you see that shape? I'll just show you on Santa. It's either like two eyes or like two teardrops. And you could just glue those on either side of Santa's. There we go, one there. And once again, it doesn't matter if it's exactly the same as this or it's slightly different. It's rather nice when they're all a little bit different, actually. There's one and there's two. Do you see how they're drooping down slightly? Gosh, I've forgotten the most important part. Santa needs a nose, doesn't he? So I'm just going to put quite a lot of glue in the middle of there to hold that nose. Okay. And I'm just going to stick that down. And now I've got two Santas, but are almost identical. And like I said before, you can always stand these up and they can rock a little bit if you like them to rock, or you can hold it. Or do you know something? You might even want to use it as a Christmas card, and inside it, write a little note to somebody. So there's lots of things you can do with this Santa. I'm just going to change this camera around again so you can see me, so we can say goodbye together. Well, I hope you had fun making Santa. I'm loving the fact that I've got two Santas now. Oops, did you see that? The nose fell off. But I'm going to actually have fun with these. I'm going to put these up in my lounge and use these decorations. And I might even decide to make a couple more and send them as cards to my friends. I hope you had a lovely time. I certainly did. And I hope you have an absolutely fantastic Christmas. It's been lovely seeing you today. Bye-bye.